Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be a reading vlog for 3 books. Obviously it's October and it's a spooky season, and I really wanted to try to read some books that reflect the time of year. So I have 3 books here that I think I'm going to read for this vlog. I actually have a lot of fantasy on my TBR shelf, so it was kind of difficult for me to choose like what I wanted to read for this vlog, but there are some that I know I want to save for other vlogs too. So I definitely will be reading more fantasy books in other vlogs, but for today I'm just going to read these through. So the first book I have is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I wanted to pick a really short option just because either tomorrow or Wednesday I'm going to be kind of busy during the day, so I wanted something short so that I could finish it towards the end of the day. And this one is the contemporary pick. The other 2 are like fantasies. The male character has to marry before his 35th birthday to inherit the family business, and our heroine helps him find the one. And obviously she's the one. And then the other one I have is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This has been blowing up everywhere. I've seen everybody reading this and loving it, and I figured I would go ahead and read this for a vlog. I don't really know what to expect, but I do know that it follows a necromancer and a phantom. And I believe the heroine has to go through these like trials. And then the other one I think I'm going to read is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This one I've heard amazing things about. Everybody loves this duology. I am a little nervous to read this because I read, I think, the first chapter or the first couple pages, and I felt lost. Like I didn't really understand what was going on. So I'm a little worried for this one that I'm not gonna understand what's happening or what's going on, but I'm gonna give it a try. So these are the 3 books that I'm going to read for this vlog, and I'm just going to read them and document all of my thoughts and opinions. I will also try to keep this vlog as spoiler free as possible, but I will probably allude to some things or like maybe read off some quotes, stuff like that. But for the most part, it will be spoiler free. I was hoping to start and finish Phantasma today, but that did not happen. I just had a little trouble focusing on reading today. My attention span just wasn't there, so it took me a little bit longer to get into the book. But I'm currently on page 165. I am about to start level 2 of Phantasma. About to start chapter 20. I feel like now that we're more into the book, I am enjoying it a lot more. I just wasn't fully into it at the beginning, and at times I do find it hard to imagine what is going on. I'm just having a hard time picturing things. I don't think it's the book's fault. It's probably just my attention span, but I am enjoying it a little bit more. I wanted to get to the halfway point, but I don't think I will tonight. I'm gonna take off my makeup and I might read a little bit more, but I will have to just finish this tomorrow. I was wanting to read each book in one day, but that did not happen today. I was also kind of busy with some other stuff, so that is my own fault, but I will hopefully finish this tomorrow and then maybe start Morbidly Yours tomorrow night as well. Kind of busy during the day, but we'll see. I'm hoping to get as much reading done as possible tomorrow. I'm really enjoying the vibes. I now understand when people say that you need to read this during Halloween because it is like the perfect spooky read. I totally get that. The atmosphere is there. It is spooky, it is creepy, it is weird, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I didn't vlog anything yesterday because I was kind of busy for a majority of the day, and then I ended up reading at night and I just didn't feel like picking up the camera to update you guys, so I figured I would update now before I am almost done with Phantasma. I also currently have a ringing ear, so I feel like I can't really hear very well and like I can't hear myself, so if I'm sounding a little funny, that's why. So I am currently 379 pages into Phantasma and I'm almost done. Like I said, I have less or a little over 100 pages left. Honestly, I'm not really liking it. It's probably going to be like a 3-star read for me. There's nothing bad about it. It's just I'm not in love with the romance. I find it really hard to visualize the games and like all of the trials that our heroine has to go through. I don't know if it's me or the book, but I'm just having a really difficult time picturing everything that's going on. I'm not loving the romance, which kind of sucks. I thought I would be obsessed with the romance, but there's just like something that feels off to me regarding the romance. I can't really pinpoint it. I think I'm just very suspicious of Blackwell. Like I don't know if I should trust him or not, and I think I've been suspicious about him the entire book, and I think that's why I haven't been loving him and Ophelia together. To properly explain this book, it follows Ophelia, who becomes the necromancer of her family because her mother dies. Competition named Phantasma, where there are like deadly games that you have to participate in, and if you win you get this single wish from the devils that host these games. And so Ophelia enters Phantasma to find her sister, and she meets this mysterious ghost along the way, and there's a little bit of a romance. It's also a lot smuttier than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought we would just get like one sex scene, but I think there's been like 2 or 3 so far, which is interesting. The plan today is to finish Phantasma and then start and finish Morbidly Yours. That is what I want to do today, so I'm going to go ahead and finish Phantasma. I finished Phantasma and I think I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. The world and the like magic paranormal system that the author had created was definitely very unique and interesting, and I did like that aspect of this book. And I do like how a lot of things that happened in the beginning of the book kind of tied in towards the end, which was very well done in my opinion, and there were definitely some things that I didn't see coming. So I was definitely surprised by the plot twist or like the end in general. And I liked Ophelia. I liked her as our heroine. She was very strong and she stood up for herself a lot, and she stood up for others. She grew to believe in herself a lot more, which I enjoyed. I liked Blackwell. I thought he was a great hero, but I wasn't like in love with the romance. Like I just didn't connect to the romance, and there was something holding me back from loving them together, if that makes sense. I wish the author did more to build the relationship between Ophelia and Genevieve, because I just felt like I didn't really care about Genevieve, and like it just felt very convenient towards the end. Like their storyline felt very convenient, like the way that that happened, I guess, if that makes sense. But overall, it was an interesting read. It was entertaining. It was a lot gorier than I thought it was going to be. Like this is kind of a little bit horror vibes because there's some gory stuff that happens. It's definitely like the perfect book to read around this time of year. It was giving everything Halloween. Sadly, I just didn't love this as much as I thought I would. Like everybody else has been loving it, but it was fun. It was a fun ride. And I think now I'm going to write this in my reading journal, document this, and then I'm going to start Morbidly Yours. It's currently the next day. I ended up not feeling good last night, so I only read half of Morbidly Yours and then I went to bed. So unfortunately, I didn't read this entire thing yesterday and I'm not starting this just yet. I am hoping to read both of these today. That is the plan. I'm going to focus truly on reading today. But regardless, I am halfway through this. I'm on page 168 and I am actually really enjoying this. It's very cute. It's very wholesome. It is just a very sweet kind of slow burn romance. Although I wouldn't really say it's slow burn, but for the length of this book, it does feel kind of slow burn, and it's just a cute friends to lovers romance. Essentially, it follows Callum, who needs to be married before his 35th birthday so that he can take on the family business of being a mortician and like running a funeral home. And Lark is a animator and she moves to Ireland to kind of restart her career and her life. She's still struggling with the death of her husband. So grief is like a very important part of this book, and she in Ireland ends up moving next door to Callum's funeral home. They quickly become friends. Callum is kind of this awkward, shy, introverted guy, and Lark is very outgoing, very bubbly, and she kind of forces him out of his comfort zone. Lark finds out that Callum needs to get married before his 35th birthday, and so she's kind of trying to encourage him to go on dates and stuff, but obviously they're slowly falling in love with each other, so that complicates things. But I'm really enjoying this, and I'm excited to keep reading and finish this. So I finished Morbidly Yours and I'm really conflicted on my rating. I want to give it a 4, but I also feel like even though I really enjoyed it, it's still kind of forgettable. So I like want to give it a 3, but I'm just kind of conflicted. Overall, I really enjoyed this, and it was obviously not really like a spooky read, but it was like a good fall read. I feel like with Callum's job being an undertaker and the weather of Ireland really made this book feel like a fall read. So I do feel like it was perfect to read around this time of year. This is also Ivy Fairbanks's debut novel, and I thought this was a great debut novel. Like, I didn't feel like it was her first book. It was really well written. I liked the development with the characters. Lark is very afraid to love somebody because of the way that her marriage was in the end, like with her deceased husband Reese, and the way that she kind of like not overcame but dealt with that more towards the end was really lovely. I did tear up a little bit. There was just some great conversations about grief and like losing loved ones and stuff, and I really liked Callum's development as a character, him growing to be more sociable and to ask more for what he wants, and I guess standing up for himself a little bit more. I really liked how they brought out the best in each other. There's not really like there is kind of like a misunderstanding or like a miscommunication, but I feel like so many bad things were happening all at once towards the end, and that kind of made me a little upset. Like, I don't know, it just felt like so much was going on towards the end, and for such a short book it felt a little overwhelming. And this also was definitely smuttier than I thought it was going to be too, because it's such a short book. I didn't really expect like that many sex scenes. I think there were 3 or 4. I also really appreciate how the author added a pronunciation and translation guide at the end for all of the Irish words and slang and stuff like that. That was very lovely to see that. I thought it was a great story. I really enjoyed it. I think I will just give it 4 stars because I really enjoyed it while I was reading it, even though I probably will forget a majority of it in like a week, but I still think it was really good, and it was a solid contemporary romance. It was quite gloomy this morning, so I wanted to read in my bed. I don't know about you guys, but I love reading in my bed when it's gloomy out. It just makes it feel much more cozier, and I feel like I can read faster when I'm in my bed. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm less distracted somehow, and I read faster in my bed. I am gonna go start One Dark Window. I think I'm gonna try to read on the couch for a little bit, and then I'll come back in bed probably. I promise I did move from the spot. I did read on my couch for a majority of the day, and I just didn't film a clip of me reading on the couch, but I am currently a little over halfway through One Dark Window. I'm on page 223. I'm actually really enjoying this. I definitely was confused for around 50 pages. Like, I was just kind of trying to understand like what was going on and like what the setting was, what the world was. And I feel like it was a slow introduction into the world and the like magic system. I feel like when the equinox event happened, then I was like fully on board for the story, and I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. I know what's going on, and I am really excited to read the rest of this book. I wasn't really sure how I felt about Elspeth at first, but I'm actually really liking her as our heroine, as our main character. I like how she's kind of shy and quiet, but she's also very like observant, and she is definitely suspicious of everybody, and I'm really liking the nightmare aspect. And it's kind of funny because I just read Phantasma, which Ophelia kind of has like a voice in her head, but hers is like basically OCD, but she calls him like the Shadow Man, which I never commented on, but the OCD rep in that book I thought was really well done. Like, it felt very realistic, and I feel like it really explained like what OCD is, and I thought I had great representation in that book. But it's funny how I read a book with a heroine who had like a voice in her head, and now I'm reading another one where Elspeth has the nightmare in her mind, and he is kind of like her protector, I guess. He's like basically the magic that is in her body, which is very interesting. I'm liking that aspect. I'm liking how this is taking place like around royalty, which I didn't really know. I honestly don't think I knew anything about this book when I picked it up. I just knew everybody loved it, and it was like a fantasy romance sort of. I'm enjoying it, and I'm finding it really fascinating with all of these cards. What are they called? I can't find what it's called, but basically I think there are 12 cards that they need to collect to get rid of the mist that causes the fever that then gives magic to people. It's interesting how they view magic as like this evil thing, but I guess it kind of threatens the king and the kingdom, I guess. But it's interesting how they view it as a bad thing. I'm gonna go ahead and keep reading and hopefully finish this before it's too late. It is already almost 8 o'clock, but I feel like it's gonna be action-packed towards like the end, so I'm definitely going to hopefully breeze through it. I just finished One Dark Window. Oh my god. The ending was so intense, and just, I was stressed out, honestly. I was so stressed the last the last like 2 chapters, 3 chapters. I think I'm gonna give this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. It was very like action-packed. I feel like there was always something happening. It kept my attention, and usually with fantasy books, like, it takes me a while to get into them, and I will say it took me like 50 to 100 pages to really get into the story. But I always am such a slow reader when it comes to fantasy, and I feel like I was slow at reading this in the beginning, but after that I was like breezing through it, and I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, this is not as complex of a fantasy world as I thought it was going to be from the first couple of pages. I feel like everything was so easy to digest and like understand, and it was crazy. It was a wild ride. I did not expect the story to go that way towards the end. Like, I thought maybe it would continue on to like the second book, if that makes sense. I don't want to spoil anything, but I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the little romance that was happening. The villains in here, I hated them all. I hated all of them, and I don't know why. This has no ties whatsoever, but as I was reading this, just because of Elspeth, she was giving me vibes of Orion, I think. Is that her name? Orion? From The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I don't know why, like, there's no correlation, but I was getting vibes from her, and it kind of made me think that maybe I should read the second book in that like little duology. So I might end up reading the second book, because now I'm literally picturing like the last scenes in that first book. But anyways, this was such a fascinating world, and I really enjoyed the magic system. Oh, the word I was looking for is provenance cards. That is what I was thinking about. Gosh, the nightmare was so interesting, and like all of that unraveling was just so well done, and like I didn't see a lot of the revelations coming. Like, I didn't see all of that happening, which was really interesting. The book just kept surprising me, and I was just really enjoying it, and it was such a fun ride, and I definitely will be reading the second book. I'm hopefully gonna go pick it up in a couple of days. It's like very much a fantasy gothic royalty, like kind of rich in history and like myths or fairy tales. I'm just so happy I finally read this, and I really liked it. I guess I didn't really fully explain what One Dark Window is about, but essentially it follows Elspeth, who when she was young, she caught the fever that gave her magic, but she has no like true signs of it to anybody. So she's kind of lived this hidden life with her aunt and uncle and her cousins. And one day when she's walking to the forest back to her house, she ends up getting attacked by these highwaymen that thinks she has like a card or that she has some sort of magic. She ends up running away, and then she later meets the same men, and it turns out that one of them is the king's nephew, who is the captain of kind of like the army basically, and he's working against the king. I feel like this vlog has been all over the place, but I'm finally done with all 3 books. I finally completed all of them. I think One Dark Window is my favorite out of the 3 that I read, but it could just be because I just finished it. So I think it goes One Dark Window, Morbidly Yours, and then Phantasma. I just didn't love this one as much as I hoped I would, honestly, which kind of sucks because it had so many elements in books that I love, like a gothic, creepy, mysterious house and like a scary, mysterious love interest, but it just kind of fell flat for me. Like I wasn't super obsessed with it, but these 2 I really enjoyed, and they kind of surprised me, I guess. Like I didn't expect to like Morbidly Yours that much, but I just flew through it, not just because it's a short book, but I really enjoyed the characters and the character development and stuff. And One Dark Window just had me on the edge of my seat after like those first 100 pages. I was sold. I was ready to keep reading and finish it as fast as I could. I still do recommend all 3 of these. Like even though I didn't love Phantasma, I would still recommend it because I feel like it is a book most people would enjoy, but I definitely for sure recommend these 2 because I think they were really great reads. That is it for this reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry it was kind of all over the place. I feel like every vlog that I plan to do, somehow something happens and I either end up not feeling good, I get busy, or the vlog just like does not turn out how I wanted it to turn out. I'm hoping one of these days I get lucky and I film a vlog that I'm very happy with. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you've read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts on them. And if you have any recommendations similar to these books or any recommendations of books that you want to see me read in another vlog, please let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!